And it is the first child rights NGO in China. And also we are granted with the consultative status with UN ECOSO in 2001. And also it is also the first NGO in China that got this status. And our mission and goal is here. Our organization provides legal service, direct legal service to children and their families. And also we do research, we do child rights advocacy, and also we have this network of pro bono lawyers in China. Our goal is to build a strong, comprehensive approach to the development of child rights undertaken in China, and hopefully as well as in other places of the world. Next one, please. And also, as we are talking about child online protection, here are some information I would like to share with you about the internet users in China. Here are two reports that I got from a report, China Internet Network Development State Statistics Report. And according to that report, by the end of 2017, the amount of internet users is 0.772 billion. China has a large population, and that accounts to more than 55% of the whole population. And 22.9% of the users are under the age of 19, because they do not have it 18, so I only have it under 18. So next, please. And among these children, 91.9% of children under the age of 18 have the experience of using the internet for the different purposes, like for entertainment, for gaming, for data or information to help their homework. And also 55.4% of children have their first experience of access to internet before the age of 10. And also more than 3/4 of children in China have smartphones, and 90% of them have access to internet through cell phones. And this data is from the study of the use of internet by minors, published in 2016. Next one, please. And also, there are so many users, minor users of internet. But what are the risks faced by children online? And this is also from the research, the report on risk faced by children online and policies to protect them by OECD. I just took it from them and show you. So there are, we can divide, they divided the risk into three categories. Internet technology risk, consumer-related risk, and information privacy and security risks. Here, content risk, it's kind of like the risk that children actively receive or are exposed to, like illegal content, like racist content, or advices to commit suicide, something like that. And while contact risk refers to the risk children actively get involved with, like cyberbullying, cyber grooming, something like that. And also in China, all these kind of risks are faced by our children. Through our hotlines, we receive children faced by these problems from every kind. I can see that. Okay, next, please. And regarding to the legal framework we have in China, actually the law on child protection in China is not enough. And what we have now is criminal code. There's one chapter. It's more on child pornography, and also there is a law on internet safety, and also there is a draft regulation on protecting minors in cyberspace, which is not active, which is not adopted yet. But this one will set more strict rules governing the protection of minors in the context of online activities and data safety and privacy. And here are the UN conventions and protocols. And also we have a reporting mechanism. You can report to to the China Internet Network Information Center website, through website or through the telephone or emails they have provided. Next one, please. Oh, yeah. So how to help children, how to protect children online? Here I'm going to address this problem by combining the work we do in China. First, as I have said earlier, we provide direct legal service. And by the end of 2016, we have provided free legal consultations for more than 50,000 individuals, and legal representation cases, about 500. And we have our hotlines, and we have our websites. Children could access to our service through these different channels. And the people the beneficiary of our legal representation would cover children from child victims of sexual abuse or sexual exploitation, victims of domestic violence, or child offenders, or children in a divorcing cases like that. And here. On the problem of child online protection, we now face cases like cyberbullying, child pornography, child privacy and information infringement, online sexual abuse, etc. And also, not long ago, there is a case in China. Like we have this, we have an app. It's called. You can upload short videos of yourself onto that app, and the case about that there are I could say a bunch of veils, but what they are sending to the other children is not, child accompanying of this short videos to kind of give them some suggestions how to tackle these problems. Next one, please. And this the picture here is the books we have published in the last few years, and because most of the research we did is basically based on the cases of the patients we have handled. So it's like we have our direct experience, and we can turn that into like suggestions or recommendations to different government organizations or to different stakeholders. Next, please. And okay. Also, our organization has been operating for almost 20 years. In the past 20 years, we have kind of established a very good relationship with different stakeholders, and we have playing a very crucial role in the adoption of child protection legislation and policies. For example, the specific law on child protection in China is called Child Protection Law, and we have our organization was entrusted to draft the amendment, and also we are entrusted with the municipal city of Beijing to draft the child protection regulations. And now what we are doing is we are also helping to draft the new amendment to the child protection law, and and also in China, although the law is the legislation is part of the framework of the child protection system, there are also many policies, regulations, and we have played our research on sexual abuse against children or domestic violence against children. We published that. It has drawn many attention of the society, which also helped to promote the adoption of these policies or laws. Yes, please. Next one, please. And also the next thing we do is also advocating for awareness raising in society. Here, you can see from these two pictures, it is actually an art installation built by UNICEF China at the fourth World Internet Conference held in 2017 in Zhejiang Province, Wenzhou, to raise awareness of the risk that children may face online. This picture, this installation is called cyber cocoon case. Yeah, it represents the potential isolation that can occur when children inhabit a cycle world. Yeah. And this picture down here is our director of the organization. He is advocating for the cultivation of more professional NGOs and the training of experts to help address this problem at this conference. Next one, please. And also another thing we do, because we have legal background. Most of our staffs are legal graduates or legal students. Yes, and we work for law. So what we do in China is, with the help of this All China Lawyer Association, we help them to establish a special committee on child protection at national or provincial or city level. So with the support of this platform, we have managed to recruit a lot of local level or regional level child protection volunteer work lawyers. So once we have a problem, if it's in Beijing, okay, we can interfere. And if it's in other provinces, the local lawyers would get in touch, would interfere to take over the case. So up to now, there are about 8,900 pro bono lawyers in this network. And each year we would have like seminars or trainings for lawyers to get updated on the newest situations of child protection in China. Next one, please. And another strategy to address child protection problems is to cooperate. It's the cooperation and partnership with different stakeholders. As I said earlier, we have like a partnership with the government, with like Ministry of Civil Affairs, the Federation, the Women's Federation, the Ministry of Education, the Supreme Court or the Supreme Procurator's Office, different judicial or administrative organizations. And also we also work with UN agencies like UNICEF, Wellbeing or UNDP to develop different programs. And INGOs like Save the Children, ACPAT. This year we have signed an MOU with ACPAT and also Child Fund to share our resources or to it's like a peer sharing something. And also we work with local NGOs and private sectors. This year in March, we have held this A20 Global Social Leadership Summit on Child Advocacy, and for that we have invited 20 leaders, I can say leaders, from child rights NGOs from 20 different countries. And on that, this is supported by Alibaba Group, a very big company in China. And on that, we have, with all the members or delegates, you can see Mr. Mehan on the right side. Yeah, we have reached a social consensus on child advocacy. In that consensus, we have realized the importance of involving private sectors and the using of technology to the protection of children. And also we have established this partnership to end violence against children with some local NGOs and Save the Children and UNICEF China, exactly to promote the work of eliminating violence against children in China. Okay, next one. Okay, the last thing I want to say is also in the past sessions we have talked a lot about the dangers or risks about children faces in a digital life. But I would also like to focus on that. While there are many challenges of internet, we should also take advantage of the internet to empower and benefit children while protecting them from the potential dangers. And here is, I'm citing from the former UN Special Rapporteur on freedom of expression, Mr. Frank LaRue. So she states that the internet is an important vehicle for children to exercise their rights to freedom of expression and can serve as a tool to help children claim their other rights, including the rights to education, freedom of association, and full participation in society, in social, cultural, and political life. It is also essential for the evolution of an open and democratic society, which requires the engagement of all society, including children. So that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alec. And if we can get some help for us to load the slides for Sadia's presentation.
Thank you. I can start.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? So I'm Tanya. I'm at the University of Mauritius. I teach on education technologies program. So what we do is basically we want teachers to start integrating technology in their classroom. So maybe I talk more about the benefits of online education rather than the risks, but obviously we are aware of the risks, which is why we mounted a project, which is an interdisciplinary project in collaboration with all. The good thing about working at a university is that you get expertise from all areas. So we have people who are from the psychology department, who are education technologists, who are in the legal department, who are IT experts. So all of this to come together. And we're working on this project. And also when you're working in education, you also collaborate with other institutions. So we're collaborating with the MPI, State Secondary School. And what we are doing is starting to get the data. Because what we found is that in Mauritius, there's a dearth of data. We really don't have enough information about what is really happening. So we want statistics that we can be able to eventually go into evidence and policies which would be based on these evidence. Okay, so our project is on digital citizenship. So what is a good good citizen? Basically what the parallels we're making, if you are a good person in life, you will be a good person online. So the Australian curriculum definition is an acceptance and upholding of norms and appropriate. So digital citizenship basically is about online etiquette. What manners do you have online? How do you deal with people when you're talking with them online? How do you greet people online? How many swear words do you use? How many beeps do we have to make when you're talking online? So online etiquette, literacy, being literate in life will obviously help you be more literate in an online. So your persona, your identity, the way you present yourself is about how literate you are in the digital world. So an understanding of ethics and related law. So basically, the parallel we want to make, like I said, was a good citizen, first of all, advocates for equal human rights. Can you hear me? So they advocate for equal human rights. They treat others courteously, never bully. A good citizen does not steal or damage. A good citizen clearly communicates respectfully and with empathy. Okay? So the parallel, if we're looking at good digital citizens, we are talking about, the type of statistics we are looking at are how is the access to internet in Mauritius? How many people do have access? In Mauritius, I mean, we're talking about China and all its billions of people. Mauritius, we're just 1.4 million people. Why can't we get things right? I don't think there should be an issue with, really getting everything in order in legal terms. For example, we don't have statistics on how many teens have witnessed somebody being cruel to them. How many illegal songs does a MP3, does a student or anybody, mine, for example, how many illegally downloaded songs do I have on my phone? How many sexually suggestive emails do we get per day? These type of statistics, we really need to have ground data, we really need to have fact-based data. We go to the next slide. Next slide, please. I have a clip up. So, again, a good digital citizen actively pursues education and develops habits for lifelong learning. They spend money wisely. They uphold basic human rights. They protect others and self from harm. And they proactively promote their own physical and mental health. So, if we go to the digital citizen, how many teens buy things online or are victims of criminal theft, for example? How many teens think that the information they're getting should be their right to it? How many teens have views on how the government is monitoring the data? Do we have information on that? Or are our students aware? Are our population aware? Is everybody aware? How many are addicted to video games? So that these are the type of information that we're looking for. No, so much faster. Okay, I think you got the wrong presentation. Because I tuned to Okay, so why this project? Basically, it's because of the dearth of data. We also, at the university, have a role as a community outreach and the ability to do research. There's a need for capacity building. As we saw in the morning, there are lots of information in terms of what should be done, but how many people are actually doing, what are they actually doing on the ground? There's not much information on that. And policy evidence. Okay, so that's the future education data. Can we go to the next slide? So there are three phases to our project. One is to first evaluate the digital footprint of students and educators. So we have collaborated with the NGI. We have done a first survey. You are the privileged few to see the first results from this survey. The next stage we're going to go through is to have the educators and have workshops with them in collaboration with the students. So in the workshops, we'll have students at par with the teachers, because the students are the digital brain and the teachers are the digital mature. So we wanted to see how mature were the teachers first, so we did the first survey. And then eventually to develop agency of these students to become better digital citizens and citizens. Okay, so the first aim of the survey was to, first of all, devise a questionnaire, but obviously this is the first pilot that we're doing. There are some questions that we have to revise. The first survey allowed us to see, okay, well, where were the gaps and what were things that we didn't ask, which we should have asked. We had 54 participants out of 80, which was not bad. But that's because the head teacher is a co-PI. She's the co-principal investigator on the project. So she really had some political backing there. We put all the questions on Google, and it was through a link that we could access. And there were 26 questions pertaining to the 9 elements, according to Ribble, of digital citizenship. So questions were based on digital access, digital commerce, digital communication. I think somebody had presented the different levels of digital interactions that we can have online. So basically. So what we found. Educators are generally concerned about limited access to technology. In the classroom, they don't have that much access to the technology. The statistics are brilliant. If you look at the government sites, yes, 100% connected, but we're not really connected. There might be 10 computers working out of 20 in a lab. So really, we really need to have statistics that are real, that are, and at the university we are autonomous, and we try to be truthful. There's a good use of, obviously, these teachers were mostly from 26 to 40 years of age, which means that they had some sort of IT or internet use when they were studying, basically around my age. Good at social media use, aware of hazards. They're limited in educational use because of limited access, otherwise they would have used it. I know a lot of teachers who use a lot of technology giving tuition at home. So which means that if they had the possibility in the schools, they would obviously use it. There's moderate and careful use of digital commerce. We found that most of the teachers, these are educators, they would buy online internationally, but not from national sites. They're more concerned about health issues related with use. They were concerned actually when you told them, okay, so do you sleep with your phone next to you? They said yes, and then the question they asked was, is that bad? So that they are concerned about that. Let's go next. So, okay, so these are some of the comments that we got. L'acquisition du matériel relève d'un parcours du combattant. They wanted a page. So the advantages they saw, the opportunities they saw, was a paperless classroom and more use of e-books. They transformed the classroom with a lively and more accessible environment. They create room for more information and acquire skills by using different technologies. So technology helps us to communicate worldwide. So it would be interesting to see whether the teachers have an international network. That would be interesting to see what type of information do they get. Do they contact their peers internationally to get some information? That would be the type of information we would look for. However, there's a problem of software. They had a challenge to adapt to the new technologies changing every time, new updates, new software. And their fear is, what if the files get corrupted and I lose everything? So these were genuine comments from the teachers. So what we did a thematic analysis, and this was like a really quick thematic analysis. What we saw as challenges and opportunities was the use of technology, the access, the agency, the changing role of the teacher, how do they see themselves when they are going in a digital world, the pedagogical aspects. There's also a hint of technology determinism, which means that they think technology will replace them, but they have to be aware that this is not going to happen. The resilience to change, the ability to adapt to changes, and in terms of professional development, that what are the requirements for professional development. So this was an opportunity for us to look at the role of the university again and how we could eventually respond to these challenges. So some of the results. The most frequent use of social media was WhatsApp, that they communicate with their peers and their teams. Email is outdated. Nobody uses email anymore except for formal uses of WhatsApp. They rarely use email, Google Docs, which is provided to them, or Office 365. The Microsoft. Thank you. They most often use computers for administrative purposes, mostly for their weekly plan, etc. They never use Facebook, they never use Google Classroom, they never use blogs, they don't use wiki editing, they rarely or very never actually use WordPress, which are the latest, these are the happening things in education technologies right now.
What they are?
The teachers.
The teachers.
The teachers. These are educators. Next. In terms of digital health, 50% say that they regularly update their knowledge about hazards. 62% say, though I'm not always cautious, I'm conscious of the dangers I'm exposing myself. I advise my circle, 52% say that they advise their circle about potential dangers so that they take the necessary precautions. So do what I say, don't do what I do. And 51% constantly observe their surroundings to detect do's and don'ts in connection with the technology. Now 54% out of 80 could be representative. I think we have some information here that we could use. So the conclusions. The resources are not wholly available at school, or if it is available, it's sometimes a lengthy process. So what we're looking at is that technology is not being effectively used in schools. So the problems that you would get with technology, for example, spams or pornographical websites would just come encroaching onto the website. These are not being dealt with actively at schools, actually. Teachers use technology for administrative purposes, for the elements of digital security. So we need to look into privacy settings and laws pertaining to children. And health, they're aware of the amount of screen time, the amount of radiation that comes out from telephones and digital tools. They're aware that they don't take the necessary precautions. Next. 73% reported that social media did not impact their psychological health. However, 51% reported that it did impact work. So educators were quite candid, and they did reveal that. 50% regularly discuss with students about online behavior, but we didn't probe into what do they discuss about. So this would be something that would be coming up. 80% profess to safe online behavior. They know how to change the passwords. They know how to, check the history, etc. So they were aware of that. And 75% are unaware of how to untag themselves from images on Facebook, for example. So we had some sort of indication that there are discrepancies between what they know and what they actually do. So these are things that we want to look into. Okay, so this helps us to say that, okay, we have a project, we need funding, we have evidence that there are issues and we really want to work on this. There are discrepancies between awareness and actual practice. There are challenges faced with pedagogical use of technology. There are contradictions about understanding of digital identities. There's a clear need for professional development, and there's a clear need for clarifying legal implications of technological use. So the next phase, what we're going to be doing next, is working backwards from the survey. We're going to the students' survey, and what we're planning is to have sort of a Trojan horse with the parents' information to be provided by the students. So we want to know about how much parental involvement is involved when students are using the digital tools. So what we want to look at the access, we want to look at cyberbullying, we want to look at how they are downloading content, what are the implications. We want to look at how they are making decisions. What are the critical thinking aspects that students have? How do they learn with technology? Whether they exhibit, whether they actually portray social intelligence, and whether they have a digital. If there are anything that we're missing out, please do tell us. I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sadie. At this moment, I'd like for the panelists to come back. We just sit and have the brief discussions. So I'll start with Dr. Ghana. First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us, madam. Dr. Naga. Pardon me for that. Thank you very much for joining us today. From your point of view, you're coming from a psychological point of view, from a psychological perspective. I'd just like you to give us an overview from what you think the theme of this discussion, what actually you think from your own aspect. We're talking about child online protection. So from experience, if you could give us maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes brief talk, and then we delve into the question.
Right. I'm a practicing psychiatrist, and I'm Dr. Naga. I'm a practicing psychiatrist, and being a developing country, unfortunately, we do not have child psychiatrists in the country. We have got one recently, but for all practical purposes, it is the psychiatrist who deals with adult psychiatry and child psychiatric cases. Most of the cases related to psychological issues, mental health issues, and problems I have seen, and I was going to talk about the youth. And what I am mentioning when I say youth is starting from adolescents to say about young adults. So in our society, what we have been seeing, which is quite in keeping with some of the literature which has been going on, which are some of the studies which have been reported, are that to youngsters, adolescents, they are spending more time on the internet, with the result that they neglect other aspects of their life. This is a period when they are growing up, and leading to they have social isolation, and social isolation has got a lot of other adversities. So they have psychosocial dysregulation, which means essentially that their social skills are not well developed. And when I say social skills is when, we learn to live by living, so to speak, that when you're growing up, you talk to people, you interact with people, and you learn how to express yourself. You learn how to say no. You say whether I agree or disagree, or these are my views. This is what part of social skill development, and this is affected. And when this is affected, self-esteem goes down. So a youngster who's growing up without proper communication, and communication, when they are using a lot of social media, which means their communication is through chatting, typing. It is only one way, through a communication with a virtual person who is there. So non-verbal communication is more or less non-existent. As you know, human species, one of our characteristics is talking. And if we cannot talk and express ourselves, we suffer in adult life. This leads to a lot of consequences in later life. And the youngster who is developing his identity, as you all know, adolescence is a period when you are developing your identity. There's an identity crisis. And when this identity development is affected, you have sort of role confusion. These are sort of psychological terms. Role confusion, where you don't know who you are, where you're going, which career to choose. So you keep on shifting jobs. You can't make proper relationships. You are not stable in your life. So it leads to a lot of problems. So this is a basis of social media, how it affects. And when you're spending a lot of time on the internet, so what happens? You don't get enough time to sleep, and this has been proved in many studies that when they do not get sufficient sleeping time, sufficient time to do their other activities like physical exercise, which releases a lot of pleasure hormones like dopamine, these are lacking. They can neglect their studies, and this is one of the reasons why we see many youths, especially at this period of time, exam time, we get parents coming along with youngsters and telling us that look, he just can't get off his mobile, he's always chatting, so he can't sleep, middle of the night he gets up, he's on his mobile, so he's neglecting his studies, he's tired in the morning. So these are all the effects that we get. So just to enlist it, I could say that you have psychosocial dysregulation, you have emotional problems, you can have fatigue, difficulty in concentrating because they are multitasking all the time. The mobile is there and here you're doing your homework or assignments or whatever. So the concentration is affected, and in certain cases you have incidents where youngsters have anxiety states, obsessive compulsive disorders. I saw a very interesting case recently. Depression. These are all side effects. What are the consequences of long time spent on the social media? You also see cases where hostility has been, I haven't personally seen, but according to many studies, hostility has been found to be quite common in youngsters who use a lot of internet use. But basically what is most important is the social isolation. Though youngsters may believe that no, we are connected, we've got so many friends on the internet, social isolation is the root cause leading to poor self-esteem, poor personality development, and all the related consequences.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naga. Another question I'd like to ask, the concept of addiction. What do you think about the concept of internet addiction? Is it true or it's just a false concept? And could we call it a psychological problem?
I think I'll have to quote the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the most recent one, which is forwarded by the American Psychiatric Association. And on the basis of several studies and all, they have suggested, it is in the appendix of the DSM-5, that means gaming, adolescent youth in the gaming on the internet. They have suggested that research should be carried out to determine whether it should be added as a psychiatric mental health and behavioral diagnosis in the most popular classification of diseases. So it is a problem. So this is what is for your information, gambling has already been added on to impulse control disorders. So gambling in any form, whether it is in internet or otherwise, is already added to the DSM-5. But all the other internet problems like gaming, so they are considering, it is a problem. And why do you, for any addiction, for example, we all are aware that somebody takes a peg of alcohol, say they take 2 pegs. After a few months or years, they don't get the same kick. So they have to take more. If they do not take, they get withdrawal symptoms. And this is the same thing in internet addiction, that you start with a short time and then you extend your period. You get a thrill when you are doing it. And when you don't do it, you get withdrawal symptoms. So what are the withdrawal symptoms? Are feeling of unhappiness. The feeling of, oh, when will I get time to go back to that game, or this sort of thing. So all these features of addiction are seen even in internet use, and this is why this term has been coined, internet addiction. So they spend more and more time, they go more frequently, and then consequently they have other areas of their life are affected. So it is a major problem, and as Sandhya said, that we do not have statistics in Mauritius. We only have 1.3 million people, and we have so many teachers and so many people. It won't be that difficult, but somebody has to take a lead role and prepare a questionnaire and perhaps add on the psychosocial factors in it as well to see, because if you do not ask, you will not know. Like suppose somebody feels that when they do not have access to internet, I'm feeling unhappy, I'm feeling moody, I get irritable. So these are the questions probably that we need to add on to see whether they are having withdrawal symptoms. So it would be a very good idea if you have statistics.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'm glad that we're getting to somewhere with these discussions now. With the interaction that kids, youth, and every single individual has with the internet, we know that there's some vulnerabilities that we are exposed to. And I'll be directing this question to Anna. The challenges faced by your organization in advocating for child safety. I'd just like you to give us an understanding, an overview of, do you find any challenges while trying to advocate for children in China? And let's just see perhaps if such challenges would arise if such actions as exhibited by your own organization were to be implemented here in Mauritius.
Okay, actually there are many challenges facing by us when trying to advocate for child rights. For one thing, is the public awareness on child rights. It has been it is only in recent years that the public awareness about child protection has been raised. But it is through many tragic stories like child being sexually abused. So, for example, for many parents, they do not see their children as an individual person. They know they see their children as a private property of the family, of themselves. So they would corporal punishment. So they are believing that it is for the own good of their children. So they can punish their children by corporal punishment. So that is the thing we would like to change. But it is also a long-lasting progress. So it is only by this kind of cases, all the work we do through our, through the report, through the medias, through the research results, or through the advocating and promoting of the government, that could only change the government's attitude towards child rights. Yes, and also beside that, challenges. There are, how to say that. It's like China is a very, very big country. Different places in China varies very much. It is the economically speaking, the western part is more poor, and the eastern part is much more richer. It's much more rich. So the economic status of the province or the cities also have a very strong effect on how the rights of child advocacy, how to advocate child rights. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that response. However, another question to you: how do your organization address the issue surrounding cyberbullying? Being that some cyberbullies are kids in themselves, there's some kids that go through cyberbullying, but these activities carried out by their own peers. So, what approach do you take? Do you try to help the victim, or you also help the victim and the perpetrator?
Okay, I know that. For us, most of the calls or the requests are from the victims. When their child are cyberbullied, their parents call to us to ask what they can do to help their children, how they can put the predators, the abusers. How could they get justice to children? Yeah, but so in that case, we have to provide legal service with our by our lawyers, and also for these abusers, we also have developed some program with local schools or universities where we could give training or legal education on students and give legal education for teachers to help them to handle this kind of problems. And also we are working with some local primary schools in our district in Beijing to try to set up a mechanism for schools to deal with these problems. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anna. Now I'll be channeling this question to Sadia. I must say, I must congratulate you for what you're doing, for your research, and we hope that you're going to bring up more data that will help professionals across sectors in Mauritius. However, I want to ask, you mentioned your statistics and you stated the law, but do you think the society is neglecting the inclusion of technology in learning? Do you think so?
Yes, I think, well, technology is being used. As if you ask students, how do they do their homework right now? They obviously will tell you they go to Wikipedia or they will go to a website. There are MOOCs available, so massive open online courses, where the amount of information the students get right now needs to be sifted and organized by teachers. So the teachers need to realize that their role is, the content is out there, but the learning, the ability to create learning activities through these contents. So it's not about, the sage on the stage, what we call. The teachers are not anymore sages on stages. They're more guides or sages on the side. And they need to be able to guide these students to the right information. And through learning activities, through technology, which will help these students to understand how to acquire the information easier. An image, obviously, if you're talking about volcanoes erupting, it's much more interesting, it's much more visual for students to see it happening in front of them using, obviously, these tools. So technology obviously has two sides of it. There's a good side and there's a bad side. So if you don't know how to use it, so you need to have that level of discernment, which comes with use.
Yeah, so, sorry, that would lead me to one other question. What do you think is stopping teachers from using these technologies or devices in classrooms? If they already have these smartphones and smart devices, could the problem be permission from relevant authorities?
Exactly. When we started our education technologies program, we had teachers coming in who wanted to integrate technology. They were from Hindi, right? They were teaching Hindi. And they had to ask the permission of the IT teacher to go and enter the lab. They would say, no, Hindi, you don't need technology, you wouldn't need to be able to go into the lab. You wouldn't know how to use the computers, you wouldn't know how to switch on. So they were restricted a lot by these IT teachers. Now they have IT support, especially these IT teachers were already teachers, so they already had a backlog of work. Now they have IT support teachers in the classrooms, and these IT support are supposed to help them. But then with the technology they use, for example, tablets, if you can't charge the tablet in the classroom, then what are you going to use? Yes. If you can't, so there are things in the policies that need to be looked into. There's a lot to do with policy borrowing and how we implement it in Mauritius or in our schools.
I get your point, the point that you're trying to make, and thank you very much for all your inputs. However, one last question, anybody could answer it, or all of us, we could make contributions to that. Now, we're talking about the internet and technologies, how they're taking away kids. There's so much that takes them away from what they're meant to do. Like Doctor, you had mentioned that parents come to report that kids spend more time on their smartphones than the time that they spend doing the schoolwork. Now, do you think that the inclusion of technology in teaching will encourage children to engage in more productive activities online? That's a practical inclusion of technology and the internet in teaching, if it's going to give these students more activities that are productive online.
Well, from
from the mental health point of view, there are several studies which have said that youth who use internet facilities for educational purposes, the outcome is positive. They do not have many negative problems like social isolation or depression, anxiety, and all. So it is, I think if they are channeled in the right direction, I think we are in the millennium of technology and we have to use it. So I think it is an important thing to channel them in the right path so that they can make use of it and derive benefit. Because most of the time they are going in for socialization, entertainment, gaming, sexual sites and so on. So I think the teachers, probably the parents, have to be given the awareness to channel them in this way.
I think what I'll add to that is that when you go to another country, the first thing you ask them is, what are the bad words that I need to know? So I think when children who don't have that maturity would go online, the first thing they would look for is for the illegal sort of sites or prohibited sort of sites. I think it's natural. It's something that they're inquisitive about. This is what the digital bravery aspect is about. Or if you want software, you ask your son or your daughter, okay, so can you hack this for me? Can you crack this password for me? So things are like that, and they are very, very adept at that. But it's about information, it's about awareness, it's about citizenship. It's about how do you behave in real life, and then what do you want to portray. So one question we had asked the teachers whether they had Googled themselves, and only 4% had Googled themselves, just to show you that they're not aware of what they portray online. So these are things that we...
Anna, any final words from you?
Actually, speaking from my personal experience, when I was in my early middle school, it is my first time to see a projector. My teacher used it to help with the class. So not just me, I think most of my classmates were just very excited about it. And that's how we know we can use this to help us study. I think the use of this internet by teachers in class is also a way of teaching our kids to know how to use the internet to help them, because there are many options for the children. If a teacher or a parent do not teach them what you can do, they are just they just go randomly to what attracts them most across games or like something others. So by using this internet by the teachers, it can also show the students you can use this to do what is good for you, what you can benefit from. And also I know that in many primary schools in China now, the teachers are using instruments like iPad in classroom to help children to do their class, to learn, because it's more visualized and it can attract the attention of children much better than just teachers standing there just talking. So I think it is just about what we can tell our kids, what you learn from them. It's not about just shutting them down from it. Yeah, thank you very much.
One last word from Sandy.
There's also an educational sort of movement that's happening. It's called the Waldorf pedagogy. And what they say is that you have to take into consideration that children from 5 to 14 are growing up. So the focus should be on the physical aspects, the mental, the memory sort of aspects. You can't, what my daughter does is she doesn't know how to look, she's 9, and she doesn't know how to spell a word, she goes to Google Translate and looks for it. But that shouldn't be the way. She should be able to have a certain vocabulary that has to be built without technology. So Waldorf pedagogy does not use technology till 14, because at 14 then you have a bit more maturity to know how to, what type of information can you look for, what type of information you should, what is plagiarism, etc. So things like that. So this, technology should be integrated in the classroom as from 14-year-old. It's an interesting pedagogy to look into. It has its disadvantages, but there are things that we can take from it.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Dr. Naga, thank you to Sadia, and also thank you to Anna. One striking thing that I'm taking out from this, it takes me back memory lane to when we were younger. You know, holidays, they're always very good. Everybody loves holidays. Your parents are like, okay, finally I don't have to try to pick my kids and bring them back. And what my father used to do, he used to say, yeah, holiday is good, but I don't want you to come and misuse it and break my things at home. So what he does, he'll give you a very big book and say, read it, summarize it, and tell me what the book is about. And when he does that to you, you have just 24 hours before sleeping and waking up and reading and trying to summarize. 1 week is gone, and all his furniture are still safe at home. So I guess that's what we're talking about. We can take our kids, we can grant them access to the internet like the holiday. However, we have to channel their attention, we have to channel their focus right from the schools on the necessary resources that they should pay attention to. Thank you very much once more, panelists. You've done great justice to this topic. Thank you very much. And we have a little appreciation. Thank you, audience. We have a little appreciation for Dr. Naga. And